This is not a TED Talk. This is not a TikTok. Welcome to a fighting game tech talk. Have you ever wondered how the juggle system works in Street Fighter V and why moves can juggle in some scenarios and not in others? Well, I'm gonna try to explain the juggle system and give some fun history along the way, and if you stick to the end, hopefully I can blow your mind with regards to the Street Fighter V patch notes. But juggling all started in Super Street Fighter II Turbo, where they first added juggle combos to the game. They had to write an entirely brand new system for the game to do so. And this system would become the basis of the juggle system for Street Fighter to this day. Every game has used this juggle system except for the Street Fighter 3 series and for Street Fighter Alpha 3. But Alpha 1 and Alpha 2, CVS 1 and CVS 2, all of Street Fighter 4 and all of Street Fighter 5 would use some form of this Capcom juggle system. For Super Turbo, they started by creating a new property of attacks that acted as juggle starters and juggle moves that if one of these moves hit the opponent into the air, the enemy got put into a juggle state, and that these same juggle moves could continue to hit the opponent out of the air. The juggle moves came in two classes. Two juggle moves for special moves, a property, they called it Dragon in the code itself, aka Ryu, and for super combos, 4 juggle moves, a property that they called Spring, as in the season, aka Chen, in the actual code. The only exception was that Sagat's Heavy Tiger Uppercut was a 4 juggle move, even though it was a special move. To make this work, they also had to create a hidden juggle counter. Every time a juggle move hit the opponent, the counter would increase by 1. A move could juggle so long as its property was greater than or equal to the current juggle count. So if the juggle counter was at 2, the dragon juggle moves could still hit, since their property was 2, and 2 is greater than or equal to 2. But as soon as the counter reached 3, those 2 juggle moves would now whiff, and only the 4 juggle moves could connect. That's why if Ryu does jumping medium punch and follows up with his super, the super only hits 3 times and the last 2 hits whiff. The juggle count started at 2 after the jumping medium punch, and each hit of the super increased the counter until it reaches 5. Then the rest of the super whiffs. So once they transitioned to Street Fighter Alpha and Alpha 2, they did away with juggle starters in specific juggle states. Now, everything that knocked down was a juggle starter and immediately put the juggle counter at 1. There was no longer such a thing as a juggle state, and this is true even today. So when anyone says that a move in Street Fighter V puts the enemy into a juggle state, that is incorrect. Anything that knocks down technically allows for a juggle. There is no specific state. More on that later. Otherwise, it was still the same. The only way a move could juggle is if it had the juggle potential equal or greater than the current juggle counter. However, Street Fighter Alpha now made it so that every move could have its own unique juggle potential. Instead of limiting it to only the 2 properties that SD had of 2 and 4, it could be any number they wanted. Adon's Jaguar Knee had a juggle potential of 1. Chun-Li's Head Stomp had a juggle potential of 2, etc., etc. They did add a rule, however, that characters could only be juggled until the height of their knockdown arc. Except for Sodom in Street Fighter Alpha 1 due to a glitch. Poor Sodom. However, that height restriction was removed in Capcom vs. SNK. It was once again allowed to juggle at any height after a knockdown, but all the other pieces remained. However, the big change here was that now individual moves, individual hits within single moves can have different juggle potentials. A move like King's Surprise Rose was a 5-hit move, but the individual hits had juggle potentials of 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4 respectively. CVS 2 would continue this, but also add a plethora of extra juggle rules that might make CVS 2 the most complicated game when it comes to juggling, but at its heart was still the original system used in Super Turbo. now we get to Street Fighter 4, and this is where things start to get hairy. Street Fighter 4 is where the devs learned that they had the ability to control everything. Before, it was straightforward. A move that knocked down started the counter at 1, and every juggle afterwards increased the counter by 1. Simple. But in Street Fighter 4, they now changed it so that every move could tweak all the values however they wanted. For example, moves could now start the juggle counter at any value they wanted, not just 1, universally. Ryu's super combo, the Shinku Hadoken, the final hit would start the juggle counter instantly at 99. So now it had a juggle start value of 99, and that's why nothing juggles after landing it, even in the corner. As a side note, people are going to point out, you can change the prop. They figured out that they could actually change the property based on whether the move hit the opponent out of the air or on the ground. So if that Ryu super combo hit the opponent out of the air, it would not increase the counter to 99, and then the Ultra could juggle, and blah, 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 details. Anyhow, they also decided that they could increase the juggle counter by whatever they wanted in the middle of juggles. So instead of always increasing the juggle counter by 1, moves could increase the juggle count by 2, 5, and, you guessed it, 0. This is what allowed some crazy combos out there, most notably Dudley. You've probably seen the infamous Smug Dudley versus Viper highlight clip. And the reason why that combos work is that Dudley's ducking straight has a juggle count increase of 0. And Dudley's ducking upper has 2 hits. The first of which has a juggle increase of 0, but the second hit has a juggle increase of 2. But that's why in the video, Smug had to make sure the second hit of the ducking upper misses. Because if it hit, the juggle counter goes to 2, and both the ducking straight and the ducking upper only have juggle potentials of 1, meaning at the juggle count of 2, they both start whiffing. Now, most moves have a default juggle potential of 0, so most moves will never be allowed to juggle. However, the thing that people refer to as juggle state that I mentioned earlier, which allows any move to juggle at all, is actually that the move that knocked the opponent down has a juggle start value of 0 instead of the standard 1. So in Street Fighter 4, for example, moves like Guile's high kick, the down forward plus heavy kick, would pop the opponent into the air but keep the juggle count at 0. That's why all normals, which have a juggle potential of 0, which is greater than or equal to 0, are allowed to connect. Again, it's not a special state, it's just being knocked down with different juggle count values. Now, Street Fighter V has basically perfected the system. It hasn't really added any rules at all to the Street Fighter IV version, but the devs just know way more what they're doing. So their values have become super specific, but it all follows the same rules. In fact, Ryu's super still cranks the juggle counter to 99 on hit. Cammy's EX dive kick has a juggle start of 0, just like Guile's high kick, allowing Cammy to juggle with anything after it connects. And move like Lucia's V-Skill 1, the 4-hit tap kick, that has juggle increases on its 4 hits of 0, 0, 0, and 5. But every hit only has the juggle potential of 1, meaning it only juggles when the devs want it to juggle. Again, it's all become very calculated and very carefully crafted. So again, the 3 main pieces are still there. When knocked into the air, the move that connected can have any juggle start value. From there, only moves with enough juggle potential can connect, so long as that value is greater than or equal to the current juggle counter. And each of those individual hits have their own unique juggle increase that increases the juggle counter by any value they want. Now, Here's the magic part that will finally blow your mind. Let's take a look at Street Fighter V's most recent patch notes and notice the first section called combo counts. In there, they list 3 terms that they use throughout the patch notes. There's a combo start value, a combo count gain, and a combo count limit. Sounds kind of familiar, doesn't it? That's right. All of those refer to juggling in Street Fighter V. Combo start value is the juggle start value. Combo count gain is the juggle increase value. And finally, combo count limit is the juggle potential value. And there you have it. That's how juggles work in Street Fighter V, and what the heck those terms in the patch notes even mean. So now when you see lowered combo count start value in the patch notes, it means that when the move hits the opponent into the air, the juggle counter starts at a lower value than before. When you see lowered combo count gain, that means that when the move hits as a juggle, it now increases the juggle counter less. And when you see them referring to things such as increased the combo count limit, that means they allow the move to juggle at higher juggle count values now. Hopefully you've enjoyed this fighting game Tech Talk and learned a little fun history with how Capcom has tweaked the juggle system throughout the decades. If you have enjoyed this, please like and subscribe to our Ultra Chen TV YouTube channel and click on that icon, that little bell icon, to make sure you're notified when new content drops. And follow me on twitch.tv/jchenzor for my streams. Outside of that, stay safe out there, get vaccinated, keep social distancing, and wear those masks. Take care, and peace.